Good morning, traders. This is Wilkey with StartupTrading.com. It is 8:44 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. So, looking back at yesterday's session, uh, what we really had was just a balancing day that was slightly bullish for the Russell and the Dow, and almost entirely neutral for the ES and the Nasdaq. So if we look at how the market responded to where the overnight traders had traded coming into the bell, looking at these tick charts on the bottom, you can see it took a little bit. You can almost see the uptrend channel here in the Russell, but it flattened out at the end of the session, whereas the other three indices, instead of flattening out, right, they just continued to bounce off their mid to late afternoon support and ended up closing on their highs for the session. So small range once again, but as you can see, for the most part, buyers and the market found acceptance, and they found what the weight or the worth of the market was, basically a little bit higher for, the Russell and the Dow, and just about the same for the ES and the Nasdaq for where most of the trades went off today. But then they marked them, all at the top end of the range into the day. So before we get into anything else, we had non-farm payroll this morning from ADP. Their numbers have been really either poor the last many months, or the government's numbers have been really poor the last few months. So you decide who's who. But the ADP is saying 167 now is what we're going to have for job gains this Friday, and those gains are well below what the market expected, but no major reaction to the downside yet. At 10 o'clock, we're going to have another ISM read. This is non-manufacturing PMI. At 10:30, oil inventories. But I do want to point out, tomorrow morning before the bell, at 7 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have the Bank of England monetary policy summary. That's going to be like their FOMC statement. And then at 7:30, we're going to have their Governor Bailey speaking. So if you guys have been following the dollar weakness, a lot of it's been tied to the strength of the Bank of England. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a thing to pay attention to, a little bit of a volatility event tomorrow morning to pay attention to. This will happen before I get back on the mic again with you, so I want to make sure that everyone is paying attention to that. And of course at 8:30 we're going to have unemployment claims, and then Friday is non-farm payroll. But this Thursday event in the morning has the potential actually to be bigger than non-farm payroll this week. We will see how that turns out, but non-farm payroll should be the bigger event. But this is going to be a very close second if it doesn't end up, after we review the tape over this coming weekend. This might be a bigger event for the week. So just keep in mind that this isn't some little show. And if, as always, if what comes in is what was totally expected, the market's not going to be, too much about it. But there's usually volatility released around where these institutions release what they had wanted to do, and they're holding off for this news. So these are usually liquidity events either way. So as we haven't looked at the charts for a while, so 5 days, everybody up last 5 trading days. And if you look, NASDAQ, no doubt the leader once again. 10 days, they're all, flat for the Dow and positive for everyone else. 15 days, same thing. 15 days, it is the Russell that is on top. Same with 20 days, because remember the NASDAQ had its little cooling off period where it was in bull market timeout because it is so much farther ahead of everyone else. and that outperformance really shines when you look at the year-to-date chart. Right, it is just so much farther above. If you look, the Dow and the Russell are still negative for the year. So, looking back at yesterday's session, we'll zoom in. The point of control is going to be something to watch for the ES today, and I actually mismarked these. So the point of control is 11,033 for the Dow, but if you look at basically 11,063, this is where a lot of the distribution went off. So the value area for yesterday, because this is the perfect bell curve distribution basically, is and balancing is really going to show above or below. And obviously we're popping to the upside so far this morning. So we'll see if it holds or not. So far in the overnight session, 29.75 points. If we look at one thing that I like to do every morning, and we've been doing, the level 4s, 33.45 half at the upper end and 32.54 half at the bottom end. So basically 90 points of a range right there. And we're, again, holding up above, all the markers that we look at for yesterday's action. Values down here at 32.95. The settlement was at 3,300. Yesterday's high of the day was at 3,300.5. And we'll see, what happens. What are the institutions, the bigger money managers? When the bell rings, you have, another side that comes in, right? You have the money. These are, Europeans now, basically since, 4 or 5 in the morning, that have really come in heavy and gave their opinion to, the U.S. market. For whatever reason, they think they're compelled to do that. But as you look, when the bell rings, it's going to be the American institutions giving their opinion on the American stock market, and that can be quite different. So we'll see what they think of this ADP print this morning. Normally, I can't remember the last time that the American institutions really cared what ADP thought. So we'll see if today is different or not. But, see if we get a shake and bake or trends. But I still think we're going to be range bound. We're going to be hard pressed to get back below value area high. I think we could definitely gap fill, but I'll be surprised if we do anything more than 32.90 would be the point of control. That's very prominent. Getting below that's going to be a sign of weakness later in the session, and 32.05 could be around the bottom end of the range. We might not even get in there. If you look at the overnight low, it's still above the point of control and barely into the value area. So looking at the longer term chart, we are still in this gap, right? The last couple of days we've been trying to fill this gap between basically February 21st and February 24th. You can look at it with extended session on or the extended session off. I prefer to look at it with the extended session off. So because I'm comparing bell to bell to bell to bell, because that's what I mainly trade. So when I look at these longer term charts, I want to see the gaps by leaving the extended session off. So this gap that goes back to the 21st, the bottom of the range is 33.28 was the low of the day on the 21st, and the close was 33.40. So you basically need to get up to 33.40 to close this gap. So keep that in mind. And this was 2 contracts ago, right? We were on the we were on the March contract when this traded. We're now on the September contract. So keep in mind there has been some price shifting and everything else, but watch as we go up here, see if we get any failure. We still have 33.0675, which, we are, again, this poor little date from January 24th, right? It was gapped over on basically February 4th to February 5th. It never was tested again. Then it was gapped, all the way around between this February 21st to 24th that we're looking at. And basically, we're gapping above it right now, uh, is what we're looking at. So looking at the sequences for overnight, uh, we got highs going off, holding the 38 too long for the ES. The NASDAQ is a little bit weaker. And it looks like I lost my video feed. Oh, thanks for letting me know, David Norris, that you can still see. All right, I will continue. So the NASDAQ is much weaker here as we go down. And thank you again, Xander Zimmer. All right, very good. So as we come back down here, you can see that the bears are holding out of this high from 11,144 and going down. The Russell is holding up. So watch for the relative weakness in the NASDAQ this morning so far. If we look at the Russell, 11,000, or I'm sorry, 1525.80 is the support level. You can see we crossed over it and we've been waffling around that line and trying to hold it. I don't have any serious support, and this is a serious support resistance line for me at 1582.30. This again could take, the rest of the month to churn all the way up to and back and fill into. But above 1525, I want to be more bullish with eyes going towards 1582.30, right? Back below 1525.80, be a little bit more bearish, but I don't think we're really going to get below 1514.80 with any significance now. And then if we look at the high going back to July 23rd, that is going to be right around 1507.60. You can get on your chart and get a precise level. But this is where I would think that the pullback window is really going to be from here to here on any significant pullback that happens in the future. We'll watch this little box going forward and we'll see how it plays out. And I'll extend that out. The band that, as long as you stay in this band or above going forward, I think we're just on our way up to 1582.30, and that's the way I want to play. You go back below this, I'll be watching the 1496.30 under that, and then, rotation all the way back down to 1462.60. So that's going to be the key levels for the Russell. Looking at the Dow real quick, we've got, 27,100 is what we've been trying to churn to, and this is the same type of an area that we were just looking for the Russell. A lot of sessions, a lot of churning, a lot of pain and angst trying to get back here. We lost it, come back up. So I really don't have any major support or resistance. I'll go ahead and throw a midpoint on here because the chart is telling me that it has one. If we look at, basically right here, I'm going to dot this out because I haven't been watching this level enough to know how solid it truly is. But the chart's telling you, you can see, support above it loosely, resistance under it, going back and forth. And that's going to come in at 26,678 would be the first thing I watch out. And we'll throw another line up here on the Dow. It's going to tie in close to this. I'm going to move it down a little bit. So we're going to call this 26,008. We'll see how 20 looks. We'll call it 22. But, let the chart show you You can clearly, when you can clearly and obviously see where it's been support and failed and turned into resistance and vice versa, that's a significant line. The market's telling you that. You don't have to guess. So 26,822 is going to be that line. 26,678, and then 26,510, and the 27,100 above is more of a serious and substantial line, and I would expect some wiggling around that when we do get up to it. You guys have a great day. I hope this helps. Remember, the Dow and above, it's double distribution finally passed it in this overnight session. It is on top of that level now. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll touch you tomorrow. If you like this video, please give it a